Imagine you're aboard a ship sailing across the vast open sea. The air is warm, the water as calm as glass, and everything seems perfect. But then, something strange happens. Lights appear in the distance, flickering on and off like they're dancing across the water. Or maybe the sea around you starts to boil without any visible cause. Temperature doesn't change, yet the water churns as if a storm is coming. This is the world of bizarre maritime phenomena, mysterious events at sea that seem almost supernatural, leaving sailors and scientists alike scratching their heads. But what if we told you that some of these phenomena aren't as strange as they seem, that they can be explained through science, history, and even human error? Today we're going to dive deep into the bizarre maritime mysteries that have baffled the world for centuries. First, we'll start with one of the most famous maritime enigmas, the Bermuda Triangle. The Bermuda Triangle has captured the imagination of many for decades, with stories of ships, planes, and even people disappearing without a trace. It's been called the Devil's Triangle, a place where the laws of physics supposedly don't apply. But is it really a mysterious black hole for ships, or is there something more at play? Let's break it down. Ships and planes mysteriously vanish in the Bermuda Triangle, but here's where things get interesting. Many of the disappearances can be traced back to natural phenomena like unpredictable weather patterns, magnetic anomalies, and human error. You see, the Bermuda Triangle covers a vast area where weather can change rapidly, causing severe storms and powerful currents. Ships and planes can easily be caught off guard, losing their way or getting stuck in the storm's path. But what about the strange magnetic anomalies that have been reported? Well, compasses can go haywire in certain parts of the world due to the Earth's magnetic field, which could explain some of the navigational failures. And then there's the human factor. Mariners used to sail these waters without the advanced technology we have today, and that meant many errors, misjudging currents, misreading the skies, or simply getting lost. It's possible that the legend of the Bermuda Triangle was fueled by stories of ships that vanished. But when you dig deeper, you realize many of these incidents were caused by factors we can now easily explain. Could it be that this terrifying phenomenon is simply an exaggerated myth, a result of fear, sensational stories, and the unknown? What seems like a mysterious black hole might just be the result of some very real but misunderstood natural forces. In fact, when you look at the numbers, the Bermuda Triangle isn't nearly as deadly as many believe. Modern studies show that the area actually has fewer shipwrecks than other busy shipping lanes in the world. So, why does the Bermuda Triangle continue to hold such an ominous reputation? Well, it's part of the mystique. The human mind loves a good mystery, and the Bermuda Triangle, with its vast expanse and unexplained disappearances, provides the perfect setting for such tales. It's a place where the unknown thrives, and that's what makes it so captivating. But hold on, it gets even stranger. Some of the stories about disappearing ships and planes go back hundreds of years, long before the Bermuda Triangle was even given its famous name. For centuries, mariners have told tales of ships that vanished, never to be seen again. But were these disappearances as mysterious as they were made out to be? Many of these early incidents have plausible explanations. Take the case of the Yomiuri Celestel, one of the most famous ghost ships in maritime history. Found abandoned in the Atlantic in 1872. The ship was in perfect condition, yet the crew was nowhere to be found. At first glance, it seems like a mystery, a case of a ship simply vanishing into thin air. But modern theories suggest a far more mundane explanation, something as simple as a crew who abandoned ship in a panic. There are theories that the ship might have been caught in a violent storm, and the crew, fearing for their lives, left the ship. Some even suggest the crew was drunk, and in their inebriated state, they made a rash decision to abandon the vessel. So, while the Yomiuri Celestel is often cited as one of the greatest maritime mysteries, the truth is far less glamorous, and it's not just the Yomiuri Celestel. Many so-called disappearances are simply the result of natural, often predictable forces, storms, magnetic anomalies, human error. But we still love the idea of a great mystery, don't we? It's the fear of the unknown that draws us in, makes us wonder if there's something more to these disappearances than meets the eye. But as we explore the history of these maritime mysteries, we start to see a pattern. Many of the stories have been exaggerated, misinterpreted, or simply misremembered. But let's take this further. What about those stories of ghostly apparitions and strange, glowing lights that sailors have reported seeing for centuries? You've probably heard of sailors seeing strange lights flickering on the horizon, or even lights dancing in the water. In some cases, these lights are thought to be ghosts of lost sailors, haunting the seas where they perished. But again, the explanation might not be supernatural. One possible explanation for these strange lights is bioluminescence, a natural phenomenon where certain organisms, like plankton, emit light when disturbed. Sailors in the past may have mistook these glowing waters for something otherworldly, adding to the mystery of the sea. What seems like a supernatural event might actually be a common, natural occurrence. In fact, bioluminescence can be so bright that it can light up the entire sea around a ship, creating an eerie and almost magical effect. It's funny, isn't it, how the strange and the mysterious are often explained by something simple and natural. But that's the allure of the sea, its vastness, its mystery, and its ability to make even the most ordinary phenomena seem extraordinary. As we dive deeper into the mysteries of the ocean, we'll uncover more strange occurrences, some of which can be explained by science, others that are still open for interpretation. But one thing's for sure, the sea will always have its secrets, and it's these very secrets that continue to fuel our fascination with it. And remember, the story of the Bermuda Triangle and other maritime mysteries is far from over. In fact, we're just getting started. The next chapter in this journey is even more baffling, and you won't want to miss it. Stay tuned. What would you do if you stumbled upon a ship with no crew, yet the sails were still up and the deck seemed alive? Sight of a ghost ship adrift at sea would undoubtedly make even the most seasoned sailor's heart race. But ghost ships are not just the stuff of legend or supernatural tales. In fact, some of the most famous ghost ships have been real, their eerie voyages shrouded in mystery for generations. Ships like the Umeri Celestial and the Carol A. Deeringpool have left mariners puzzled and historians searching for answers. But the truth behind these mysterious vessels might not be as haunting as you think. You've probably heard the tale of the Umeri Celestial, the famous ghost ship discovered in 1872. Abandoned without a trace of its crew, the ship was found drifting in the Atlantic Ocean, fully intact and in good condition, but the crew was mysteriously missing. No sign of struggle, no evidence of foul play, just an empty ship sailing on its own. Many theories arose in the aftermath: pirates, a mutiny, or even alien abductions. But what if the true cause was much simpler than any of these dramatic explanations? Let's break it down. While the Umeri Celestial was certainly a baffling case, modern investigations suggest the cause of its abandonment was likely far more mundane: human error, weather conditions, and even food spoilage. The most plausible explanation involves a combination of factors, including a buildup of fumes from the ship's alcohol cargo, which caused a panic among the crew. In their haste, they may have abandoned the ship, thinking it was about to explode. The crew's sudden departure, without any real danger, is a sobering reminder of how fear and confusion can lead to irrational decisions, especially in an era when navigation and ship safety were far less advanced than today. But the Umeri Celestial isn't the only ghost ship to stir the imagination. Another famous example is the Carol A. Deerings, which was found abandoned off the coast of North Carolina in 1921. Like the Umeri Celestial, the ship was in pristine condition, but there were no signs of the crew. The mystery surrounding the Carol A. Deering has fueled rumors of mutiny, piracy, and even supernatural causes, with some suggesting the crew had encountered a ghostly force at sea. Yet modern investigations have pointed to a more likely explanation: a combination of bad weather, poor decision-making, and a lack of communication. The crew might have abandoned the ship due to dangerous conditions, and without any means of survival, they vanished without a trace. So, what's the takeaway here? These ghost ships may seem like evidence of the supernatural, but the truth is far more grounded. Many ghost ships were likely abandoned due to natural causes: bad weather, food spoilage, and human error. It's easy to romanticize these mysterious events, especially when we don't have all the answers. But when you dig deeper, you start to see a pattern. The eerie silence aboard these vessels isn't the result of ghostly forces. It's simply the result of sudden, unexplained circumstances. The ocean, vast and unpredictable, has always been a place where the line between the natural and supernatural is blurred. Sailors have long been at the mercy of its moods, and it's no surprise that ghost ships have been a staple of maritime folklore. But while these tales may evoke fear and wonder, they also reflect a deep uncertainty and mystery of life at sea. In the past, when there were no answers to explain the unknown, people turned to the supernatural for an explanation. But as we've seen with the Umeri Celestial and the Carol A. Deering, many of these ghost ships are more the result of human error and natural disasters than supernatural forces. It's just the aftermath of confusion, fear, and unfortunate events. And while these ships may never fully give up their secrets, we can now approach these mysteries with a more rational perspective. But here's the kicker: what about the eerie sense of abandonment that surrounds ghost ships? The fact that an entire crew could vanish without a trace and leave behind only the haunting image of an empty vessel still sparks a chill in the heart of anyone who hears the story. Could it be that the very act of abandonment gives ghost ships their supernatural aura? Could the eerie silence be the result of a tragic but entirely natural set of circumstances? The fact that these ships were found in good condition, without a sign of struggle, hints at the possibility of something even more unsettling. The crew's disappearance wasn't the result of an attack or disaster. It was a choice driven by fear, confusion, or desperation. It's a strange fact that ghost ships, while terrifying, are often more common than we realize. From the Kurang Medan, whose crew was found lifeless in a ship's hold under strange circumstances, to the Flying Dutchman, whose story has haunted sailors for centuries, the world of ghost ships is full of mystery and intrigue. But as we explore these stories, we start to see that many of them have real, natural explanations. The human mind, after all, is quick to fill in the gaps with the supernatural when there's no immediate explanation for what happened. So, what happens when we peel back the layers of myth and superstition surrounding ghost ships? We uncover a truth that's perhaps more unsettling than any supernatural explanation. These ships were abandoned by their crews, not because of ghosts or curses, but because of very human fears and mistakes. I know, it's a sobering thought, one that forces us to reckon with the fact that the true mystery of these ghost ships is not the eerie silence aboard them, but the lives that were lost due to fear, isolation, and human frailty. But as we explore further, we're left with one question: can the human mind ever truly escape the supernatural allure of the unknown, or are we forever forever bound to weave stories of ghosts and monsters to explain the unexplainable. And in the case of ghost ships, perhaps the real mystery is why we continue to believe in their haunting presence, even when the truth might be something far more human. Now, before we move on, let's pause and consider the true implications of these ghost ships. Could they be symbols of humanity's struggle to navigate not just the vast oceans, but the depths of our own fears and uncertainties? The ghost ship, after all, may not just be an abandoned vessel. It could be a reflection of our own journey into the unknown. What do you think? Stay with us, because we've only just begun to uncover the strange and eerie world of maritime mysteries. The next story might just surprise you. Imagine sailing through the waters on a clear, calm night when suddenly the ocean around you begins to glow with an eerie blue light. It's as if the water itself is alive, pulsing with energy that you can't explain. Is it magic, or is there a scientific explanation behind this strange phenomenon? This is bioluminescence, a natural glowing reaction in the sea that can seem almost otherworldly. But what if we told you that this mesmerizing glow is far more than just a pretty spectacle? What if it's a language of the sea, a communication from the depths, waiting for us to understand? Bioluminescence is an extraordinary natural phenomenon where living organisms produce light. This happens in creatures like fireflies, fungi, and of course, the ocean's tiny plankton. But in the ocean, it's the plankton, often called Ca sparkle, that creates the stunning blue-green glow. In fact, many marine organisms, from fish to jellyfish, possess this remarkable ability to glow in the dark. But why? What purpose does this glowing light serve? The answer is more than just for beauty. For many of these organisms, bioluminescence is a survival mechanism. The light can serve as camouflage, helping them to blend into their surroundings and avoid predators. In the case of some fish, like the lanternfish, the light they emit helps them blend with the light from the surface of the water, hiding them from predators below. But that's just one piece of the puzzle. Bioluminescence is also used to attract mates or even to communicate. When creatures like fireflies or certain fish glow, they're sending out signals, trying to find a mate or warn others of danger. In the ocean, this glow can act as both a warning and a lure, dazzling potential prey and dazzling predators that may become trapped in the light. And let's not forget the incredible diversity of bioluminescent organisms in the sea. The blue glow you might witness on a dark night isn't just limited to plankton. Entire ecosystems rely on these glowing creatures. For example, certain jellyfish use bioluminescence as a defense mechanism, stunning their predators with bursts of light. But the real surprise comes from the creatures you can't even see. Beneath the waves, some species of squid and fish have evolved to emit flashes of light in a specific pattern, like an underwater Morse code. What if those glowing signals were a form of communication? Could the glowing patterns of marine creatures be more complex than we realize, carrying information between species that we've yet to decipher? Now let's consider something even more fascinating. How does this bioluminescence work? The magic behind it lies in a substance called luciferin, which reacts with oxygen in the organism's body, creating light. In simpler terms, luciferin is a kind of light-producing molecule, and when it reacts with oxygen, it releases photons, which we see as light. This reaction is not only efficient, it's nearly 100% energy efficient, meaning that no heat is produced, just pure light. This makes it far more efficient than most man-made light sources. So, when you see that eerie glow in the ocean, you're witnessing a perfect natural phenomenon, one that has evolved over millions of years. But, and here's the twist, bioluminescence in the sea isn't always as benign as it seems. Some organisms use their light as a weapon. Take the deep-sea anglerfish, for example. This fish has a glowing lure that dangles above its mouth, attracting unsuspecting prey into its grasp. The glow is a trap, drawing in creatures that think they're safe, only to become dinner. Could this be nature's own version of a high-tech predator, using light as both an attraction and a weapon? It's a perfect example of how bioluminescence can be both a blessing and a curse, depending on the creature using it. But what about when we see glowing waters, the type that make it seem like the sea itself is alive? It's one of the most enchanting sights at sea, the glowing water that lights up when disturbed by waves, boats, or even swimmers. The phenomenon is caused by large colonies of bioluminescent plankton that light up when they're disturbed. This behavior, known as milky seas, can stretch across hundreds of miles in the ocean. Sailors have described it as sailing through a sea of stars, where every wave glows with an ethereal light. While this spectacle is beautiful, it's also a reminder of the incredible life in our oceans. These glowing creatures aren't just putting on a show for us. They're communicating with each other, responding to environmental changes, and in some cases, warning off predators. The glow could be a distress signal or a sign of danger, as many creatures in the ocean use bioluminescence to confuse or scare off attackers. But here's the question that might surprise you. Could bioluminescence be a form of communication that we humans are completely missing? Some scientists believe that bioluminescence may be more complex than just a flash of light to ward off predators or attract mates. There are theories that marine creatures could be using patterns of light to send signals across vast distances underwater, even in the depths where sunlight cannot penetrate. Imagine a network of creatures lighting up in response to each other, creating an intricate underwater communication system we've yet to fully understand. It's a language of the deep, perhaps even one that could hold secrets to marine ecosystems we are only beginning to uncover. As we delve deeper into the mystery of bioluminescence, we also encounter uncover a lesser-known aspect of this phenomenon. It could be one of the ocean's best-kept secrets for survival. While we often think of bioluminescence as a beautiful visual display, in reality, it's a crucial part of many marine creatures' ability to survive in the harsh conditions of the ocean. Bioluminescence becomes a critical tool for survival. Whether it's to attract food, communicate, or defend against predators, bioluminescence allows creatures to thrive in some of the most challenging environments on Earth. But, as with all mysteries, there's a hidden layer that most people don't even realize. Bioluminescence can sometimes be a warning to us. Just as the light attracts prey, it can also serve as a signal of danger. For example, certain glowing organisms, like some species of jellyfish, can sting or even paralyze their prey using bioluminescent chemicals. These glowing creatures are not just a spectacle to be admired. They can be dangerous in ways we still don't fully comprehend. The question remains, could bioluminescence be something more than just a biological quirk? Could it be a message from the deep ocean that we've yet to decode? And as we continue to explore this phenomenon, perhaps the greatest mystery of all is this: what are these glowing creatures really trying to tell us? What secrets of the ocean remain hidden in their dazzling light? The answers could be as luminous as the creatures themselves, but we'll have to dive deeper to find them. The next time you see a glowing sea, remember, it might be trying to communicate. If only we can understand the language of the deep. What makes the Sargasso Sea so unique that sailors used to call it a graveyard for ships? The name itself conjures up images of ships stranded in some sort of watery limbo, their crews lost to the isolation of this mysterious region. But what if we told you that the Sargasso Sea isn't really a graveyard at all? What if the real story behind it was far more practical and less ominous than most people realize? The Sargasso Sea is a massive area located in the middle of the North Atlantic Ocean, defined by the surrounding currents of the Gulf Stream, the North Atlantic Current, and the Canaries Current. What sets it apart is its calm, clear water, often covered in large patches of floating seaweed, specifically the sargassum seaweed, which gives the sea its name. But the seaweed isn't just for show. For centuries, sailors have feared this sea because of its stillness, its isolation from the rest of the ocean, and its tendency to trap ships that get caught in its currents. At first glance, the Sargasso Sea appears as a lifeless, stagnant body of water. The stillness of the water, the lack of wind, and the absence of any clear landmarks can make navigation incredibly difficult. For sailors in the past, these factors were a recipe for disaster. When caught in the Sargasso Sea, ships would be stuck, unable to move forward. Without a strong wind to propel them and no current to carry them along, they were stranded, unable to escape the clutches of the vast empty sea. But the idea of the sea as a graveyard is far more a product of myth and misunderstanding than reality. It's easy to see why sailors would come to this conclusion. In ancient and medieval times, the Sargasso Sea's seemingly impenetrable nature inspired fear. With no landmarks in sight, no wind to sail by, and only the floating seaweed to mark their location, mariners were left vulnerable. Ships, unable to make any headway, would simply drift aimlessly in place, their crews growing desperate. The fear was that if a ship were to get caught here, it would slowly drift into oblivion, trapped in an endless loop of stillness. The term graveyard perfectly captured this sense of helplessness. But what if the true problem wasn't some supernatural force, but simply the limitations of old maritime technology? In times past, the tools sailors had at their disposal were relatively primitive. Navigational instruments like compasses and maps were not as accurate as they are today. Without the benefit of modern GPS, the ocean's vastness often became an overwhelming puzzle for sailors. A ship caught in the Sargasso Sea without the proper knowledge of the currents and winds could easily become stuck, adding to the myth of the graveyard. The Sargasso Sea's notorious reputation has also been fueled by the fact that it is a place where ships get trapped not by external forces, but by the ocean's natural environment. The calm waters, absent of wind, and the lack of forward motion could easily be mistaken for an unnatural force, something mystical or ominous. But today we understand the Sargasso Sea much better, and we know that its reputation as a graveyard is based more on sailors' superstitions than actual fact. Interestingly, the Sargasso Sea isn't actually a dead zone. It is a vital ecosystem in the ocean, full of marine life that relies on the seaweed for habitat and food. The sargassum floating on the surface provides shelter for small fish and invertebrates, creating a thriving environment for creatures like sea turtles and eels. These organisms use the seaweed to hide from predators, and many of them use the Sargasso Sea as a nursery ground. The region is also known for the migration of the eels that travel thousands of miles to spawn here. So, while the sea might seem empty at first glance, beneath the surface, it's teeming with life. The real challenge of navigating the Sargasso Sea, and the reason so many ships got stuck there, is its location at the convergence of various ocean currents. The area is bordered by the Gulf Stream, which creates a slow-moving, meandering current that can trap anything caught within its grasp. Ships could be carried off course, and the stillness of the sea meant that once they were off track, they had no means of getting back on course. While modern ships are far less likely to get stuck in the Sargasso Sea due to better navigational tools and more accurate weather predictions, the tales of old still persist. The truth, however, is that the Sargasso Sea isn't inherently dangerous. It's simply misunderstood. It's not a place where ships are doomed to vanish forever. It's a place where the unpredictable forces of nature can leave you stranded, but also a place where life flourishes in its own way. So, what's the takeaway here? The Sargasso Sea, far from being a graveyard, is a living, breathing part of the ocean's ecosystem. It's a place where the ocean's currents come together, where stillness and movement collide, creating a unique environment. How it's easy to romanticize the sea's mysteries. Sometimes the true story is a lot simpler than we expect. The Sargasso Sea is not a place of death, but a place of life, where the ocean's forces converge and create something new. Could it be that our fascination with the graveyard is really just a fear of the unknown, something we've misinterpreted throughout history? The Sargasso Sea isn't a place to fear. It's a reminder of the complex, mysterious beauty of the ocean. Have you ever heard of a whirlpool so powerful that it could drag entire ships under the surface? Imagine being aboard a vessel and suddenly being sucked into a massive, swirling vortex that seems to have no end. Sounds like something out of an ancient legend, doesn't it? But believe it or not, the whirlpool of Gianutri is a real phenomenon, and it has claimed its fair share of ships over the centuries. Located off the coast of Italy, the whirlpool of Gianutri is not the mythological monster many imagine. It is in fact a product of natural forces, specifically the tides and underwater topography. This whirlpool has a dark reputation for sinking vessels, but what most people don't realize is that it's not some malevolent force at work here. It's a powerful and predictable occurrence that modern science can explain with ease. The whirlpool of Gianutri is situated near the small island of Gianutri, part of the Tuscan archipelago. This area has a history as a dangerous stretch of water, where tides and currents collide in a violent dance. In the past, the whirlpool's enormous force was enough to drag ships down, pulling them into the depths of the sea. For sailors back then, encountering such a whirlpool could feel like confronting a wrathful sea god, an overwhelming force of nature that couldn't be reasoned with. But what if the truth is simpler than that? While ancient mariners might have thought that the whirlpool was a punishment from the gods, modern science tells us a very different story. The whirlpool of Gianutri, much like other natural whirlpools, is caused by the gravitational pull of the moon, tidal currents, and the contours of the seafloor. When strong tidal forces collide with underwater valleys or ridges, they create intense circular currents that can pull in anything unlucky enough to be caught in them. This natural phenomenon is both fascinating and terrifying. While ancient sailors believed that whirlpools were the result of divine anger, we now know that the forces behind them are much more mundane. The whirlpool's power doesn't come from a mystical force. It's just the ocean's tides and currents interacting with the geography of the seafloor. But the fact that sailors once saw these whirlpools as punishment from the gods tells us a lot about how they viewed the sea, as a realm of unknown and uncontrollable forces, where anything could happen at any moment. Here's the most interesting part. Whirlpools like the one at Gianutri aren't as unpredictable as they might seem. In fact, they follow a predictable pattern, one that modern science can anticipate. The forces at play, tides, water depth, and geography, can be measured and understood. Today, technology such as sonar mapping allows us to predict the movement of these currents with incredible accuracy. But that doesn't mean whirlpools are harmless. Despite their predictable nature, they still hold an eerie fascination because of their immense power. Some whirlpools are so strong that they can pull down even the largest of ships. But unlike the stories of sea gods and mythical monsters, these whirlpools are simply a part of the ocean's natural ebb and flow. Understanding them makes them less scary, but no less awe-inspiring. Let's talk for a moment about the sailor's perspective. Imagine being stuck in a storm, with the sea suddenly shifting and changing, pulling you toward a whirlpool. The water is spinning faster and faster, and there's nothing you can do. In the past, such an event might have seemed like a punishment from the gods. Sailors believed that such occurrences were signs that the gods were angry or displeased. In fact, many myths surrounding the sea involve such phenomena, warning sailors of the dangers of the ocean's unpredictable power. But in reality, the whirlpool of Gianutri, while terrifying, is a product of the ocean's natural processes, and of the forces at play beneath the surface, forces that can be understood and, in some cases, predicted. The ancient belief in sea gods, while fascinating, can be seen as a way for sailors to make sense of the mystery and danger of the ocean. Today, we can explain these events with science, but that doesn't make them any less remarkable. What's truly amazing is that these whirlpools aren't unique to Gianutri. Similar phenomena occur all over the world. From the Gulf of Mexico to the waters off the coast of Japan, there are whirlpools and tidal currents that have the power to swallow ships whole. Some of the most dangerous whirlpools, like the Saltstraumen in Norway, can create currents that flow at speeds of up to 20 miles per hour, enough to pull an unsuspecting vessel into the depths. The truth is, whirlpools are not rare, but they are often misunderstood. Today, we have the technology to avoid these dangerous whirlpools, thanks to modern navigation systems and better understanding of the ocean's forces. But for ancient sailors, these whirlpools were more than just a threat. They were a symbol of the ocean's power and mystery. And while we might not believe in sea gods anymore, there's something undeniably humbling about these natural phenomena. Remind us that the ocean, with all its mystery and danger, is still a force that can overwhelm even the most advanced technology. In the end, the whirlpool of Gianutri is a perfect example of how human beings have always tried to make sense of the unknown. What once seemed like an act of divine retribution is now understood as a fascinating natural phenomenon. And as we continue to study the ocean and its mysteries, we're constantly reminded of just how much there still is to learn. The ocean is vast, its secrets many, and every new discovery brings us one step closer to understanding it all. So the next time you hear about a whirlpool or other strange maritime phenomenon, remember, the truth behind these mysteries is often much simpler than we think. Have you ever seen strange lights hovering over the water in the dead of night? Or perhaps you've heard stories of ghostly apparitions on the ocean's surface. These mysterious lights, ranging from glowing green flashes to shimmering vapors, have baffled sailors for centuries. What exactly are these lights, and could they be the result of something far more mundane than the supernatural? Let's start with the U-green flash, a rare optical phenomenon that occurs just as the sun sets below the horizon. Yes, it's a fleeting moment when the sun's final rays turn a brilliant green before disappearing entirely. To the untrained eye, this could easily be mistaken for a distant light from a ship or a supernatural occurrence. But the reality is much simpler and more fascinating. This brief green flash happens because of the way sunlight interacts with the Earth's atmosphere. As the sun dips below the horizon, light is refracted through the atmosphere, causing different wavelengths of light to separate. The blue and green wavelengths are often the last to be visible, creating the brief green flash. Now, you might be thinking, isn't this just a rare phenomenon? Well, it is, but not entirely. In fact, it's more common than many think, though spotting it requires the right conditions. The phenomenon is most likely to occur over the ocean, where the horizon is clear and the atmosphere is free from pollutants. So, the next time you're out on the water, keep your eyes peeled. You just might witness the flash of green before the sun sinks completely. But the eye-green flash isn't the only mysterious light that has puzzled sailors. There are also cases of what's known as luminous vapors or U-ghost lights, strange glowing orbs that appear without explanation on the ocean's surface. These lights have been witnessed across various parts of the world, from the Caribbean to the coast of Australia, and like the eye-green flash, these ghostly lights often defy easy explanation. Some mariners have claimed to see ships illuminated by lights that seemingly appeared out of nowhere, giving the impression that they were surrounded by ghostly vessels. So, what are these lights really? It turns out that these ghost lights are typically caused by atmospheric phenomena like bioluminescence, or more specifically by plankton in the water. Bioluminescence is the ability of certain organisms to emit light when disturbed, and this is most often seen in plankton, jellyfish, and some types of algae. When disturbed, whether by waves, currents, or ships passing through the water, these organisms light up, creating a surreal glow that can be seen at night. The result is a shimmering, ghostly glow that can easily be mistaken for supernatural forces at work. But there's a twist. Luminous vapors may also be the result of something even simpler: reflections and refractions. When light interacts with the atmosphere at the right angles, it can create illusions of distant lights, sometimes tricking the human eye into seeing something far more dramatic. The same phenomenon that causes the U-green flash can also be responsible for the appearance of lights on the water that aren't really there. In a sense, the mysterious lights of the sea may be less about ghostly spirits and more about how light behaves in a complex and dynamic environment. But could these strange lights have been mistaken for something more sinister? Consider the way ancient sailors viewed the sea. The ocean, vast and unpredictable, was a place of mystery. Early mariners didn't have the scientific knowledge we possess today, so they often interpreted strange phenomena as signs of the supernatural. What we now know as bioluminescent plankton or atmospheric refraction, they might have believed were the work of spirits, sea gods, or ghosts. For centuries, mariners who reported seeing these ghostly lights likely described them in supernatural terms because they had no other explanation. Take, for example, the Flying Dutchman, one of the most famous ghost ship legends. Sailors claim to have seen the spectral ship glowing in the distance, its eerie light warning them of doom. While it's easy to dismiss this as an exaggerated myth, the eerie glow could have very well been bioluminescence from the water surrounding the ship, giving the appearance of a ghostly vessel. This simple explanation reveals how perceptions of the supernatural might have been influenced by natural occurrences like luminous vapors and E-green flash phenomena. The truth behind these strange lights, when viewed through the lens of modern science, becomes far less mystifying. But the very fact that these phenomena have persisted in the maritime world for centuries reveals the power of human imagination when faced with the unknown. When a sailor encounters something inexplicable, it's natural to seek meaning, and sometimes that meaning takes the form of a ghostly apparition. These lights, while beautiful and strange, are also a reminder of how much we've learned about the ocean and how much we still don't know. The ocean, with its vastness and unpredictability, has long been a place of mystery. Yet, through advances in science and technology, many of the phenomena that once seemed supernatural are now understood as natural occurrences, born from the interplay of light, water, and the environment. But even as we unravel these mysteries, the sea still holds many secrets. New phenomena are still being discovered, and many of the explanations we have today may be revised tomorrow. The ocean is far from fully understood, and the strange lights we see could very well be just the beginning of even more extraordinary discoveries. The next time you find yourself at sea, staring into the vast expanse of water, remember, the ocean is full of wonders, both explained and unexplained. Some of the lights you see may simply be reflections of the world around you, while others might be the remnants of ancient maritime legends, but whether they are the result of bioluminescence, atmospheric refraction, or the simple magic of the sea, these lights are a reminder of the ocean's endless mystery, a mystery that we are only beginning to understand. How do you explain a mystery that no one seems to have solved? A strange noise coming from the deep sea, a sudden disappearance, or unexplained sightings out in the vastness of the ocean. Sightings have plagued sailors for centuries, and many of them remain unsolved. But the real question is, could these mysteries actually be revealing more about the ocean's vast, untamable power than we ever imagined? One of the most intriguing things about the sea is its unpredictability. There are so many mysteries that we still cannot explain, despite modern technology and science. One such mystery involves unexplained noises in the deep ocean. Over the years, scientists have picked up strange sounds from the ocean that seem to defy logical explanation. These sounds, often referred to as ibloop, have captured the imagination of many. The ibloop is a low-frequency sound that was recorded by underwater microphones in the Pacific Ocean in 1997. This sound was so powerful that it could be heard over 1,000 miles away. For years, people wondered, was it the sound of a giant undiscovered creature, perhaps a sea monster? After all, the ocean is still full of unknowns. But, as it turns out, the ibloop wasn't the cry of a sea creature, but the sound of icebergs cracking and breaking apart in the deep ocean. The ice, as it slowly fractures, creates these massive sounds that can travel for great distances through water. So, while the idea of a giant, unknown sea creature sounds exciting, the truth is much more grounded in natural phenomena. But the ibloop isn't the only mysterious noise captured from the ocean. There have been other strange sounds, like the yoop sweep, a recurring sound that has baffled scientists for years. Recorded in the 1990s, the yoop sweep is a series of high-frequency pulses that seem to be coming from deep within the ocean. Despite much investigation, no definitive source has been found for these noises. Could they be coming from deep-sea creatures that we've never encountered? Or perhaps from volcanic activity beneath the ocean floor? The mystery persists. One of the most exciting things about these mysterious sounds is that they reveal how little we know about the ocean. Despite advances in oceanography, much of the ocean's depths remain unexplored. The ocean is vast and full of dark, inaccessible areas, and scientists can only reach a fraction of it. In fact, over 80% of the ocean remains unexplored. This means that many of the mysteries we face are likely tied to the unexplored regions of the ocean, places where new creatures and natural phenomena are still waiting to be discovered. In the past, these mysteries often led to terrifying myths. Ancient sailors, with no scientific understanding of the ocean, would explain the strange sounds and disappearances with supernatural stories. Some believed that these deep-sea sounds came from the wrath of gods or from mythical sea creatures. The ocean was often seen as a place of great danger, where the unknown ruled, and terrifying things happened beyond human understanding. These stories persisted for generations and helped shape our cultural imaginations about the sea. Yet, as we've learned more, many of these terrifying myths have been explained away by science. While the supernatural explanations were rooted in imagination, the real causes of these maritime phenomena are just as awe-inspiring. From the unpredictable movements of the ocean currents to the still unexplored depths where massive creatures might be lurking, the sea is far from fully understood. Every mystery uncovered reveals another, deeper one. Some of these unsolved mysteries might be rooted in phenomena that are still too elusive for modern science to crack. The ocean's vastness and complexity leave so many questions unanswered, and many of them may remain unsolved for years to come. Even the most advanced technology can't always penetrate the depths of the sea, and some phenomena might just be too rare or too remote for us to observe. This uncertainty adds to the allure of maritime mysteries. What is it about the ocean that keeps so many questions unanswered? One of the most fascinating aspects of the ocean is how it shapes our perception of the world. For centuries, sailors viewed the sea as a place of both opportunity and danger. They saw it as a realm of mystery, where the unknown was always lurking just below the surface. Today, even though we have mapped much of the ocean floor, this sense of mystery still persists. The fact that so much remains unexplored means that every time we dive into the sea, we're stepping into a world full of unknowns. In that unknown, whether it's the source of a strange noise, a vanishing ship, or a sudden disappearance, reminds us that we still have much to learn. Could it be that these mysteries are not just remnants of ancient myths, but a testament to the ocean's power and unpredictability? The sea has always been a place where the unknown is just as present as the known, and perhaps that's what makes it so compelling. Whether it's the yoop-loop, the yoop sweep, or some other strange phenomenon yet to be discovered, the ocean is full of stories that are waiting to be uncovered. In the end, these unsolved mysteries aren't just about the ocean. They're about humanity's relationship with the unknown. As much as we've learned, there's always more to discover, and the ocean remains a place of endless possibility. The next time you hear an unexplained sound or see something odd out at sea, remember, the ocean is still holding its secrets close, and who knows what mysteries it will reveal next. What's worse than a storm at sea? How about waves of foam so thick that they can swallow an entire ship whole? The ocean can be unpredictable, and the phenomenon of deadly sea foam is one that has caught sailors off guard for centuries. But what if this terrifying occurrence isn't the result of some supernatural force, but instead a curious consequence of nature itself? help. Sea foam, which can form when strong winds mix with turbulent waters and organic matter, often strikes fear into the hearts of sailors. It appears as frothy, white waves that can seem almost alive, especially when large patches of foam suddenly rise up, trapping anything in their path. Some sailors from the past thought they had encountered a powerful omen or curse, but the reality? It's much less ominous and much more grounded in ocean chemistry and the forces of nature. Large swaths of sea foam are formed when waves break and create a foam that is stirred up from the ocean's surface. The presence of organic material such as plankton, dead fish, or other microscopic organisms in the water can help this foam to accumulate. As the wind whips across the surface, it picks up air bubbles, which mix with the organic matter, creating a thick layer of foam that can stretch over miles of ocean. The foam itself can be so dense that it appears as if the sea is boiling, with waves moving at a slower pace, almost as though the sea is alive. It's not just a rare phenomenon either. In certain parts of the world, this foam has been reported in large quantities, sometimes resembling what sailors describe as white hell. One particularly unsettling event took place in the North Sea in 1953. On that day, a strong storm produced massive waves that, combined with plankton-rich waters, created foam that was so thick it obstructed visibility for miles. The sailors who found themselves surrounded by these mounds of foam were left to wonder if they would ever make it out alive. The belief that this foam is a manifestation of supernatural forces or bad omens isn't without reason. And hundreds of years ago, when the sea was the unknown, with no modern scientific understanding, with its vast, never-ending expanse, the ocean was seen as a powerful, uncontrollable force, full of mysterious dangers. For sailors who found themselves in the midst of strange foam, it might have seemed like an omen of death or an angry sea god, punishing them for trespassing into its domain. But is there more to this frothy mystery than just natural occurrences? Could there be something that we're still missing about these deadly waves? Scientists have shown that foam like this can pose significant dangers to ships and sailors. In fact, in some cases, foam can be so thick that it creates a barrier, making navigation nearly impossible. Ships that get stuck in these waves can lose their bearings, making it harder to avoid other dangers such as underwater rocks or even another ship in distress. In certain cases, the foam has been linked to pollutants in the water, like oil spills or toxic algae blooms. These contaminants can alter the chemical composition of the water, affecting the density of the foam and making it even more dangerous. Algal blooms, in particular, are notorious for making sea foam more potent and even toxic, making it more difficult for ships to move through it. And here's something you may not have known. Sea foam can also affect marine life in surprising ways. The foam, while seemingly a benign phenomenon, can have harmful effects on underwater ecosystems. The organic matter trapped in the foam can deplete oxygen in the water, leading to what's known as hypoxia, a condition where marine life struggles to breathe. Fish, shellfish, and other marine animals can become trapped in the foam, which can, over time, lead to large-scale die-offs. The myth of sea foam being a sign of doom persists to this day, but perhaps the true story is even more chilling. As the oceans continue to warm and pollution increases, the frequency and intensity of foam formation might increase, leading to a greater impact on both human and marine life. It may be that the foam of the sea, once considered an omen of doom, is actually an early warning sign of deeper environmental issues. But here's the twist. What if the real story behind the deadly sea foam isn't the doom it represents, but how it showcases the fragility of our ecosystem? Could it be that these foam events are nature's way of telling us that something has gone terribly wrong below the surface? And with that, the mystery of the sea foam becomes more than just a natural wonder. It becomes a call to action, a sign that we need to pay attention to the health of our oceans before it's too late. As we continue to explore the mysteries of the deep sea, phenomena like sea foam remind us that even the most frightening occurrences can be explained by science. The ocean may be unpredictable, but with the right knowledge, we can learn to navigate these challenges safely, avoiding myths and understanding the real dangers that lie beneath the surface. Can the Earth's magnetic forces really make you lose your bearings on the open sea? Imagine you're navigating across the vast ocean, relying on your compass, when suddenly it starts spinning wildly, throwing off your entire sense of direction. For centuries, sailors have feared that magnetic anomalies could make their ships vanish or lead them to doom. But the truth behind the ocean's magnetic forces is more complicated than that. The Earth's magnetic field is a natural phenomenon that influences compasses, the most essential navigation tool for sailors. When you hold a compass, the needle aligns itself with the Earth's magnetic field, pointing to magnetic north. However, there are places on Earth, like the Bermuda Triangle or the Arctic, where the magnetic field behaves unpredictably. In these areas, compasses can spin erratically, making it nearly impossible to navigate accurately. This phenomenon, known as magnetic declination or magnetic variation, can be more severe in certain regions. One of the most dramatic examples of this phenomenon can be found in the Bermuda Triangle, a region notorious for the mysterious disappearances of ships and planes. Many stories from the past attribute the strange disappearances to the magnetic anomalies found in this area. Some even believed that the magnetic field was strong enough to distort the very fabric of time and space, drawing vessels into a vortex or causing them to vanish into thin air. However, while these stories are sensational, fictional. Modern science shows us a different picture. The real cause behind some of these disappearances can be explained by natural occurrences of magnetic interference and environmental factors. In areas with significant magnetic anomalies, ships can encounter navigational problems because their compasses no longer point true north. This can be disastrous for sailors who depend on their instruments to steer clear of dangerous waters. For example, in 1950, a U.S. Navy plane mysteriously disappeared after experiencing a complete compass malfunction. It's easy to see how sailors could have mistaken this for a supernatural occurrence, given the vastness and power of the ocean, combined with the sudden unpredictability of their instruments. Here's a little-known fact. The Earth's magnetic field isn't uniform everywhere. Some places, like the South Atlantic anomaly, have areas where the magnetic field is unusually weak. In these areas, compasses can lose their ability to point reliably. In some cases, the needle may simply spin around, offering no guidance whatsoever. This can cause confusion and disorientation, even leading to ships unknowingly veering off course. Could ancient sailors have interpreted this strange behavior as a sign from the gods? Throughout history, mariners and explorers, unable to explain these disruptions, often believed they were signs of bad luck or divine punishment. Some even considered magnetic anomalies to be the work of vengeful sea gods. It was not uncommon for sailors to return from a journey and recount tales of mystical forces causing their compasses to fail. The ancient Greeks and Romans, for example, spoke of divine powers influencing the tides and winds, guiding or destroying ships at will. Now let's look at the science behind it. Magnetic anomalies aren't caused by anything supernatural. They are natural variations in the Earth's magnetic field. These anomalies can occur in places where magnetic minerals like iron ore are concentrated, distorting the local magnetic field. While this can affect compasses and cause confusion, modern sailors have learned to predict and navigate around these disruptions. With the advent of GPS technology, magnetic interference is no longer as dangerous as it once was, as satellites provide an accurate location independent of the Earth's magnetic field. But the magnetic anomalies aren't the only mystery tied to the ocean's magnetic forces. Mariners also feared that certain areas of the sea were cursed, with the compass's strange behavior serving as an omen. This belief could explain some of the more baffling maritime disappearances, where no one truly knew what had happened. In many cases, it was not a supernatural curse, but simply poor navigation or unexpected environmental hazards. And scientists have debunked many myths surrounding these so-called cursed waters. Through extensive research, we've learned that the Bermuda Triangle's reputation for ship disappearances can be explained by environmental factors like methane gas eruptions and rogue waves, which could explain why ships and planes mysteriously vanish. In other cases, navigational mistakes caused by magnetic anomalies or human error have led to accidents, but nothing that could be attributed to the supernatural. Truth about magnetic fields at sea isn't as frightening as people once thought. While magnetic anomalies can certainly throw off a compass, today's technology has made navigation much safer. The rise of GPS technology and advanced sonar systems allows ships to traverse even the most challenging waters with relative ease, bypassing magnetic distortions entirely. However, we still find ourselves fascinated by the idea of mysterious forces at sea, especially when they challenge our understanding of the world. But here's the twist. Could it be that our fascination with these maritime mysteries is less about the science and more about our inherent need to explain the unexplained? The ocean, with its vastness and mystery, has always held a special place in human imagination. It represents the unknown, and the anomalies within it, whether magnetic or otherwise, serve as reminders of how little we truly know about the world around us. As we continue to study the Earth's magnetic fields and explore the seas, the mysteries of the ocean will likely continue to captivate us. The magnetic anomalies will always be with us, but with better technology, we'll be able to navigate them without fear. What once seemed like supernatural forces can now be understood as part of the natural world. And next time you set sail, you'll have the knowledge to see the ocean not as a place of mysterious curses, but as a world full of fascinating scientific phenomena just waiting to be explored. Do sea serpents really exist, or are they just exaggerated stories passed down through the ages? Picture this. You're sailing across the open sea when suddenly, from the depths, something massive rises, its long, snake-like body breaking the surface of the water. Is it a sea serpent, a creature of myth, or a misunderstood marine animal? For centuries, sailors have reported sightings of these monstrous creatures, sending shivers down the spines of those who dared venture into the deep waters. But what if these reports are more than just folklore? Historically, sailors described sea serpents as gigantic, snake-like creatures with long bodies and monstrous heads. They were said to slither through the water with terrifying speed, and often, their sightings were accompanied by waves of panic. The most famous sighting occurred in the 19th century, when a sea serpent was reported off the coast of Newfoundland. A ship's crew witnessed it firsthand, describing it as a giant creature with multiple humps, the length of several ships. The sheer size and ferocity of the animal were enough to keep the legend alive for centuries. However, modern science offers an intriguing explanation. Could these stories be based on real encounters with marine creatures that were too unusual for sailors to understand? It's entirely possible. One such creature that could explain many sea serpent sightings is the giant giant squid. These creatures, often more than 40 feet long, have been known to appear near the surface on rare occasions, particularly when disturbed by deep-sea fishing lines or sonar. The giant squid's tentacles, which can extend far beyond its body, may have been mistaken for the massive body of a sea serpent. And then there's the oarfish, a creature even stranger than the giant squid. Oarfish are long, slender fish that can grow up to 36 feet in length, their bodies undulating in a way that resembles a serpent swimming in the ocean. Oarfish often dwell deep beneath the surface, but sometimes are brought to the surface by ocean currents or storms. When sailors encounter an oarfish for the first time, it's easy to see how the creature could be misinterpreted as a serpent. In fact, sightings of oarfish, particularly when they wash ashore, have led to renewed reports of sea serpents. Here's a rare fact that might make you rethink the myth. Many of these sea serpents were reported to have been spotted off the coast of Norway, where real serpents, specifically the Norwegian sea serpent, were purported to lurk. These serpents were described with long, segmented bodies, and they were said to create waves as they moved through the sea. The reality behind these sightings: marine animals like eels and even large schools of fish could create ripples in the water that appeared serpentine to the human eye. The ocean's currents and shifting tides likely help fuel this mystique, but not all sea serpent sightings can be explained by misunderstood marine life. Some reports describe creatures that simply don't fit the profile of any known animal. These unusual descriptions have kept the legend of sea serpents alive, captivating generations with tales of the unknown. Yet, with the advancement of modern oceanography and the discovery of previously unknown species, we continue to find strange creatures that challenge our understanding of the deep. One particularly mysterious example is the Cadborosaurus, a creature described as resembling a sea serpent, which has been reportedly spotted in the waters of the Pacific Northwest. Some sightings describe a long neck, a large body, and even flippers. These reports have persisted for over a century. Could this be a new species, or simply a case of misidentification? What if these sea serpents are real, but they remain hidden in the depths, evading scientists and fishermen alike? Now let's delve into the psychological aspects of these sea serpent sightings. The ocean has always been a place of mystery. It's vast, dark, and unpredictable. For centuries, it has inspired both awe and fear. The creatures lurking beneath its surface are often exaggerated in stories, becoming metaphors for the unknown dangers that sailors faced. It's easy to imagine that early sailors, upon encountering strange creatures or experiencing terrifying storms, would create stories to explain the unexplainable. The sea serpent myth might just be the human mind's way of making sense of the chaos and dangers of the deep sea. But what if there's more to it? Could some of these creatures still exist, hidden away from the human eye? In 2005, researchers discovered a new species of giant squid in the waters off Japan, proof that even today, we are still uncovering creatures that seem straight out of myth. Could there be other sea serpents lurking in the deep waiting to be discovered? Ultimately, the truth behind sea serpents lies somewhere between myth and reality. It's possible that these creatures exist in the ocean's deepest, most remote regions, unseen by most and misunderstood by many. But it's just as likely that the sea serpents of old were simply misidentified marine animals, exaggerated through centuries of storytelling. The ocean is full of mysteries that continue to elude us, but with each discovery, we inch closer to understanding the world beneath the waves. The next time you hear about a sea serpent sighting, ask yourself, could it be a giant squid, an oarfish, or something even stranger? Or could it be a legend that has persisted for centuries, fueled by the same sense of wonder and fear that keeps us looking toward the horizon? Or whatever the answer, one thing is certain: the sea will always be a place of mystery, full of creatures that defy our understanding, just waiting to be discovered. We've all heard the stories about ships and planes disappearing in the Bermuda Triangle, but is there a real explanation behind these mysterious vanishings? The Bermuda Triangle, one of the most infamous maritime mysteries, has captivated imaginations for centuries. Stretching between Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico, it's a region where dozens of ships and planes have seemingly vanished without a trace. Many theories have emerged over the years, ranging from magnetic anomalies to alien abductions. But what if we told you the reality behind these disappearances isn't nearly as mysterious as it seems? While the Bermuda Triangle has certainly become synonymous with intrigue, the truth may be far more grounded in natural phenomena. The first thing to understand is that the region isn't inherently more dangerous than any other part of the ocean. In fact, statistics show that more planes and ships vanish from other regions. But because of the Bermuda Triangle's reputation, these incidents tend to get more attention. One significant factor contributing to these disappearances is the ocean's volatile weather patterns. The Bermuda Triangle is known for sudden, violent storms, some of which can appear with little warning. For example, the region is subject to intense thunderstorms and even tropical storms or hurricanes, which can cause planes to lose control or ships to capsize. These storms are so powerful that they can easily overwhelm even the most well-equipped vessels, especially when navigation systems are thrown off. Another contributing factor is human error. Navigating the vast, unpredictable waters of the Bermuda Triangle is no easy feat. In fact, many of the reported disappearances were the result of faulty navigation, miscommunications, or simple mistakes. The waters in this region are notoriously difficult to chart, and even with the best equipment, navigating through these areas can lead to confusion. Furthermore, the dense network of islands and shallow waters can cause ships to run aground, and without proper navigation, navigation or weather preparation, accidents can quickly spiral out of control. Here's a strange fact that many people don't know. The Bermuda Triangle has seen the disappearance of far more aircraft than ships. In 1945, 5 U.S. Navy bombers famously disappeared during a training flight in the area, known as Flight 19. The pilots were reportedly disoriented by the weather and failed to realize that they were flying in the wrong direction. They ran out of fuel, and the search teams were never able to find the planes. The story of Flight 19 became a key moment in fueling the Bermuda Triangle's myth. The reality, though, is that navigational mistakes were common among pilots, especially in the days before GPS technology. Now let's dive into a lesser-known aspect of the Bermuda Triangle that further debunks its supernatural reputation: methane gas eruptions. Beneath the surface of the ocean, particularly in areas like the Bermuda Triangle, there are vast reserves of methane hydrate, frozen methane gas locked in the seafloor. Occasionally, these reserves can be released suddenly, creating large bubbles that rise to the surface. When these bubbles are released in high enough concentrations, they can lower the density of the water and cause ships to sink in an instant. What's even more mind-blowing is that these methane eruptions can also disrupt aircraft engines, causing planes to stall mid-flight. The idea of methane eruptions is controversial but scientifically plausible. Researchers have discovered traces of methane hydrates in the waters surrounding the Bermuda Triangle, and there are documented instances where these eruptions have led to the sinking of ships. In fact, the famous wreck of the HMS Erebus and Terror, 2 British ships that vanished in the Arctic waters in 1845, was believed to be due to a similar phenomenon. While the Bermuda Triangle is often linked to UFOs or paranormal activity, the real culprit may just be the ocean's hidden dangers, far more terrifying than any myth. Here's something that may surprise you. The Bermuda Triangle is not officially recognized by any scientific body as a mysterious area. The U.S. Board on Geographic Names does not acknowledge the Bermuda Triangle as a region, and its boundaries are not universally defined. The term was popularized by author Vincent Gaddis in the 1960s, and since then, media outlets and books have sensationalized the idea. The truth is, there's no physical marker on any map that defines the Bermuda Triangle's edges. What's more, much of the data surrounding the disappearances in the region have been misinterpreted, misreported, or sensationalized by the media, adding fuel to the mystery. You might be thinking, but what about the famous incidents? There are certainly high-profile disappearances associated with the Bermuda Triangle, but when examined closely, the vast majority of them have straightforward explanations. For example, the disappearance of the USS Marine Sulphur Queen in 1963, one of the most mysterious incidents in the Triangle, was later attributed to a structural failure of the ship. As it turned out, there was no mystery at all. Similarly, many reports of missing planes and ships can be traced back to simple, identifiable causes such as weather conditions, mechanical failures, or poor decision-making. And yet there's still an air of mystery around the Bermuda Triangle. Why does it continue to capture the public imagination? One possible answer lies in the psychological phenomenon known as confirmation bias. When people hear stories of disappearances in the Bermuda Triangle, they begin to notice every anomaly, whether it's a missing ship or an unusual weather pattern, seeking out explanations that fit the narrative. This, in turn, perpetuates the myth of the Bermuda Triangle as a place of danger and intrigue. But could this reputation be the very thing that gives rise to its continued mystery? While science has explained many of the supposed mysterious disappearances, the Bermuda Triangle remains one of the most fascinating and enduring legends in maritime history. Either you believe the myth or the science, one thing is clear: the Bermuda Triangle holds a unique place in the collective imagination, a place where the boundaries between reality and myth blur, and where human curiosity keeps us searching for answers. As we've explored, many of the disappearances in the Bermuda Triangle can be explained by a combination of natural phenomena, human error, and occasional misfortune. There's no need for supernatural explanations when science offers plausible theories, and the region's reputation as a vortex of doom may simply be a product of sensationalized stories and misconceptions. Still, with its captivating history and mysterious allure, the Bermuda Triangle remains a subject of fascination, prompting us to continually ask, what's really going on in the Bermuda Triangle? What if you were caught in a wave so large that it could wipe out an entire city? How do these terrifying waves form, and how have ancient cultures interpreted their wrath? Tsunamis, massive waves triggered by underwater earthquakes or volcanic eruptions, are among the most catastrophic maritime phenomena that can devastate coastal cities in a matter of minutes. Tsunamis are different from regular ocean waves. While ordinary waves are caused by wind, tsunamis are the result of massive shifts in the Earth's crust. When tectonic plates move beneath the ocean floor, they displace a huge volume of water, sending it crashing across the ocean at speeds of up to 500 miles per hour. These waves can travel across entire ocean basins without losing much of their energy, making them capable of reaching shorelines thousands of miles away. But what makes tsunamis so deadly isn't just their speed, it's their size. When these waves finally reach the coast, they can grow to be over 100 feet tall. Imagine being on a ship, calm seas around you, and suddenly, without warning, a monstrous wave appears in the distance. That's what makes tsunamis so dangerous, their ability to strike without any visible precursor. Here's a strange fact. For centuries, centuries, people didn't even understand what caused tsunamis. Ancient mariners who experienced these devastating waves often believed they were witnessing divine punishment or the wrath of gods. When waves rose seemingly out of nowhere, striking with such force and unpredictability, it seemed impossible for anyone to grasp the science behind them. Cultures around the world had their own myths about tsunamis, many of them attributing them to the anger of sea gods or spirits. One of the most famous early tsunami stories comes from Japan, where the legend of the Namazu, a giant catfish said to live beneath the earth, was used to explain earthquakes and the devastating waves that followed. The myth suggested that when the catfish stirred beneath the earth's surface, it would cause violent earthquakes and tsunamis to emerge, as if the ocean were shaking in anger. These ancient explanations were as much about making sense of the seemingly impossible as they were about coping with the devastation that followed these immense waves. But modern science has revealed the true nature of tsunamis. As scientists studied the patterns of tsunamis over the years, they uncovered that tsunamis often result from underwater earthquakes. These quakes occur when the Earth's crust is suddenly displaced along fault lines, creating a ripple effect through the water above. But even more surprisingly, tsunamis can be caused by volcanic eruptions or underwater landslides, which can just as suddenly displace large amounts of water. Here's an interesting fact that many don't realize. Tsunamis don't always look like the towering walls of water you see in movies. Often, they start as very small, almost imperceptible waves that pass unnoticed in deep water. It's only when they reach shallower coastal areas that they begin to grow in height. This is one of the reasons tsunamis are so dangerous. They can hit with very little warning, especially if there's no significant change in the ocean surface. Let's pause and think about a rare fact that adds another layer of terror. Tsunamis can travel incredibly fast, but the time it takes for them to reach shore depends on the location of the earthquake. For example, if an earthquake occurs near a coast, a tsunami can arrive within minutes. But if the earthquake happens far offshore, it can take hours for the tsunami to reach land. In the case of the 24 Indian Ocean tsunami, people had little time to react, and that's what made the disaster so catastrophic. Despite their immense power, tsunamis are also somewhat predictable today. In recent decades, tsunami warning systems have been developed in many parts of the world. These systems use seismic sensors to detect underwater earthquakes and send alerts to coastal areas, giving people a short but crucial amount of time to evacuate. For instance, the 2011 tsunami in Japan was preceded by warnings that saved countless lives. However, these warning systems are not foolproof. Tsunamis don't always follow the expected patterns, and they can still take many by surprise. One of the most shocking facts about tsunamis is the scale of destruction they can cause. The 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami, one of the deadliest in recorded history, claimed the lives of more than 230,000 people across multiple countries. Entire coastal cities were wiped off the map, and the event triggered global efforts to create better warning systems and preparedness protocols. It wasn't just the size of the waves that made this disaster so devastating. It was the lack of adequate warnings and the inability of the affected nations to respond quickly enough. But let's circle back to the mystery of tsunamis. What if we told you there are still many unknowns about these waves, even as science has explained their basic causes? One of the remaining questions that scientists continue to investigate is how far-reaching the impact of a tsunami can be. For instance, could a tsunami originating in one ocean reach another? While we know tsunamis can travel across entire ocean basins, their strength diminishes over distance. But could they still pose a threat to regions far removed from the event? Tsunamis are also fascinating because of the way they behave when they interact with coastal landforms. Depending on the shape of the coastline, the waves can behave in unexpected ways. For example, in narrow bays or inlets, a tsunami can concentrate its energy, causing a local amplification of the wave height. This is one of the reasons why some coastal areas, though they might seem safe from a tsunami, are far more vulnerable than others. Could this unpredictable nature of tsunamis mean that we are still underestimating their potential? In conclusion, tsunamis are among the most devastating natural disasters that we can experience. The sheer power they possess is awe-inspiring, yet terrifying. Over the centuries, tsunamis were seen as acts of divine wrath, but science has revealed them to be the result of massive shifts beneath the Earth's surface. Despite our growing understanding of these phenomena, tsunamis remain a threat to coastal communities around the world. As we continue to develop better early warning systems and improve our understanding of how they form, we may be able to better prepare for the next massive wave. What if the fog surrounding you wasn't just a weather phenomenon, but something more mysterious? Sailors have long feared dense fogs, which often lead to navigational disasters. The fog can be disorienting, making it difficult to judge distance, direction, and even visibility. It's no wonder these ghostly mists have given rise to countless legends and tales of phantom ships, hidden dangers, and mysterious disappearances. Imagine you're navigating the sea on a calm, crisp night when suddenly the world around you turns into a thick, impenetrable mist. The sounds of the ocean seem muted, and the horizon disappears. What happens next is a matter of survival, for sailors through the ages have reported seeing strange and eerie sights within these mists. The fog seems to come alive, shifting like something out of a nightmare. Many ancient cultures, unable to understand the science behind the phenomenon, believed that this mist was the work of spirits or curses. They thought it marked the entrance to a realm inhabited by the dead, dead, or even the god. But as we delve deeper, the truth behind these ghostly mists becomes clearer, though no less unsettling. In ancient times, when sailors first encountered dense fog, it was often seen as a supernatural event. Without the technology to understand atmospheric conditions, these mists were interpreted as warnings or signs from the gods. Sailors feared the fog would trap them, leading to shipwrecks or leaving them stranded at sea. The mist's disorienting effect could cause even the most experienced seafarer to lose their bearings, a terrifying prospect when surrounded by miles of open water. In reality, fog is a natural phenomenon that occurs when warm, moist air meets cooler water. This combination causes condensation, which turns into tiny droplets suspended in the air, creating the mist. However, the fog that forms at sea, particularly dense, low-lying fog, can be more dangerous than most people realize. The fog's thickness can reduce visibility to mere feet, and when combined with unpredictable ocean currents and winds, it can create a navigational nightmare. But here's something that might surprise you. Fog isn't just a nuisance. It's a critical part of certain ocean ecosystems. Coastal regions that experience frequent fog often host rich marine life, including plankton and fish species that thrive in these cooler, mist-covered waters. The fog can help regulate temperatures and create a stable environment for sea creatures. Yet, while fog is essential for marine life, it's also a constant source of danger for sailors. Ships, both ancient and modern, have met their demise because they got lost in the fog and crashed into unseen rocks or other vessels. There's a strange paradox here. Fog is simultaneously a sign of life and a harbinger of death on the sea. While it nurtures marine ecosystems, it also threatens those who navigate the waters above. Could it be that ancient sailors were right in fearing the fog? Were these eerie conditions part of nature's cruel sense of irony? What makes this phenomenon even more unnerving is that fog is not just confined to calm days or certain seasons. It can appear suddenly, catching sailors off guard, sometimes even in the most unexpected locations. In some places, the fog comes and goes in what seems like an unnatural pattern, adding to the mystery. The fog is often most dense at dawn and dusk, when the ocean's temperatures and atmospheric conditions align just right, creating what seems like an impenetrable wall of mist. When caught in this situation, ships are left vulnerable to the unpredictable forces of the sea, unable to see anything beyond the shroud of fog. But what if we told you there's something even stranger about these fogs? Something so bizarre that it might make you question everything you thought you knew about the ocean. In some cases, sailors have reported seeing strange shapes or shadows moving through the fog, figures that seem to be otherworldly. Some believe they're the remnants of ghost ships, while others think they are the spirits of lost sailors or ancient sea gods. Yet, modern science offers a different explanation. Could these mysterious figures be optical illusions created by the refracted light? In certain conditions, light can bend and refract through the fog, making distant objects appear closer, larger, or even creating ghostly images in the distance. This phenomenon, called superior mirage, can create illusions of ships, land, or even phantom figures, leading sailors to believe they're seeing something supernatural. What seems like a mysterious figure on the horizon could actually be a trick of the eye caused by light bending around the curvature of the earth. And here's the kicker. It's not just the sailors of old who believed in these supernatural sightings. Even today, some maritime crews report strange experiences in dense fog. One famous example occurred off the coast of Alaska in 1991, when a fishing crew spotted what they described as floating lights hovering just above the water's surface in thick fog. Despite being investigated, no clear scientific explanation was found, leaving many to wonder if there was more to the fog than meets the eye. In fact, it's widely known that fog is a major contributor to maritime accidents today. According to statistics from the U.S. Coast Guard, over 300 vessels have been involved in accidents due to fog-related conditions, resulting in fatalities and extensive damage. Navigational systems and radar technology have certainly reduced the number of accidents, but the unpredictability of fog still poses a serious threat to those at sea. One rare but intriguing aspect of fog is its ability to create ghostly sounds. When fog envelops a ship, the sounds of the ocean and surrounding environment become muffled. Sailors have reported hearing strange, unexplainable noises in the fog, creaking of ships, eerie whispers, and sometimes the sounds of voices or footsteps, even when the ship is empty. These sounds, distorted by the fog, create a surreal and haunting atmosphere that can play tricks on even the most seasoned sailor's mind. Could it be that the fog amplifies our senses, making us hear things that aren't there? There's also a fascinating phenomenon known as fog bows, a rare kind of rainbow that appears in dense fog. Unlike a regular rainbow, which forms when light is refracted by water droplets, a fog bow is created by tiny fog droplets. The resulting arc is often pale, faint, and ghostly, with a haunting, ethereal appearance. Could these fog bows be another form of sea magic, or simply a beautiful, natural phenomenon? As we explore the ghostly mists of the ocean, it becomes clear that what ancient sailors feared may not be entirely based in superstition. Fog is an unpredictable, dangerous force of nature that can leave even the most skilled mariner stranded, disoriented, and vulnerable. Its optical illusions or the natural eerie qualities of fog, the sea holds mysteries that may never be fully explained. In the end, the fog is both a symbol of the ocean's mysterious power and a testament to the forces of nature that we still struggle to understand. Could these ghostly mists of the sea truly be the ocean's way of reminding us that there is still so much more to discover? Or are they just a strange, fleeting phenomenon that is best left unexplained? Have you ever encountered a sea so quiet it felt like the world was holding its breath? Silence at sea can be unsettling, especially when the only sound you can hear is the rush of your ship's engine cutting through the water. There's no wind, no waves, just an eerie stillness that makes you question everything. But what's really going on when the sea goes silent? When you think of the ocean, you probably imagine it as a vast, noisy, and ever-changing force of nature. Waves crashing, winds howling, and sea creatures making their presence known. But the reality is that the ocean can be surprisingly quiet, and this silence can be even more dangerous than the loudest storm. It's a phenomenon that has baffled sailors for centuries, and has even led to superstitions about the sea itself. The silence is both unnerving and fascinating, and it's something that's more than just a calm day at sea. In the past, sailors interpreted this silence as an omen. Ancient mariners didn't have the technology or understanding of ocean currents that we have today, so they often turned to superstition. They believed that when the sea went still, it was a sign that something catastrophic was about to happen. Ships would get stuck in the silence, unable to move forward, trapped in a vast, windless expanse where there was no escape. This stillness wasn't just eerie, it was dangerous. Without wind, sails couldn't catch the breeze, and without the rhythm of the waves, navigation became a guessing game. The cause of this silence, it turns out, has everything to do with weather patterns and ocean currents. Scientists today understand that when air pressure is high, it can create a stillness on the ocean's surface. The wind dies down and the water becomes unnaturally calm. But that's not the whole story. The phenomenon can also be caused by unusual ocean currents. When cold water meets warm water, it can create a kind of barrier that prevents waves from forming. This creates the appearance of a silent sea, where the usual sounds of the ocean, crashing waves, the whoosh of the wind, simply disappear. But here's the kicker. Despite modern science explaining why this silence occurs, the psychological impact on sailors hasn't changed much. The silence at sea is still feared. In fact, it's often seen as a moment of foreboding, as if the ocean is holding its breath before something catastrophic happens. Some mariners report feeling a sense of dread or unease when they encounter this quiet. It's not just the lack of sound, it's the feeling of isolation and vulnerability. Without the usual noises of the ocean, it's as if the world is holding its breath, waiting for something to break the tension. Here's something that might surprise you. This silence isn't always deadly. In fact, some sailors have learned to use the stillness to their advantage. Without the constant distraction of crashing waves and the wind in their sails, it's easier to focus and navigate the ship. Some even believe that this silence can lead to a moment of clarity, allowing sailors to make better decisions when they're caught in unpredictable conditions. But there's a darker side to this phenomenon. The quiet can also be a sign that something is terribly wrong. Ships have been known to become stranded or lost in these still, lifeless waters. When the wind dies and the waves flatten, there's nothing left to guide the crew. The ship becomes stuck, its crew helpless as they drift, unable to make any headway. In some cases, ships have been abandoned, left adrift in the stillness, waiting for a breeze that never comes. Could this silence be the ocean's way of reminding sailors of its vastness and power? The sea, in all its majesty, can be both overwhelming and terrifying, and when it goes quiet, it's as if it's daring you to face the unknown. Without sound or movement, you're left with only your thoughts, and the realization that you're at the mercy of forces much greater than yourself. It's in these moments of silence that sailors have felt the ocean's true power, the power to both calm and destroy. And this phenomenon doesn't just happen in the open ocean. Coastal regions, where the land meets the sea, often experience moments of stillness too. Here, the silence can be even more ominous, as it can signal a sudden change in weather conditions. Fog can roll in, cutting visibility down to nothing. Or worse yet, a storm may be brewing just beneath the calm surface, ready to strike without warning. There's a rare, fascinating occurrence in the world of oceanography known as dead calm. This is when the sea becomes eerily still and flat, almost as if the ocean has decided to stop moving altogether. It's as if the tides themselves have paused, and the ship is caught in an invisible force field. What's even more strange is that these dead calm periods often happen without warning and without any apparent cause. Scientists still don't fully understand why this happens, but one theory is that it's related to the way the Earth's atmosphere interacts with the ocean's surface. A combination of low pressure and specific weather conditions can cause the ocean to settle into an unnatural calm. In ancient times, this dead calm was feared as a harbinger of doom. It was believed that when the sea went still, it was a sign that something terrible was about to happen, perhaps a shipwreck or a deadly storm. And for good reason. Ships that became trapped in these conditions often didn't survive. Without the wind to power them, they couldn't escape the stillness, and their fate was sealed. But modern sailors know that there's a scientific explanation for this phenomena. Still, it doesn't make it any less unsettling. The silence of the sea can play tricks on the mind, making even the most experienced sailors question their sanity. The lack of noise can amplify every creak of the ship, every ripple in the water, until it feels like the sea itself is alive. And this eerie stillness often leaves sailors wondering if they'll ever break free from its grip. There's something else you may not know. Silence at sea doesn't always occur during the day. It can happen at night too, when the stars and the moon cast an eerie light on the ocean's surface. And during these times, the silence can feel even more intense, as if if the very air around you is holding its breath. In fact, many sailors have reported that these silent nights at sea can be the most unnerving experiences of their careers. The lack of sound, combined with the isolation of being surrounded by nothing but water and sky, can create a sense of being suspended in time. But in the end, could this silence be the ocean's way of teaching us something? Perhaps it's a reminder that no matter how much we think we understand the sea, there's always more to learn. The ocean is vast, mysterious, and unpredictable, and even in its quietest moments, it can still hold surprises. Next time you find yourself on the open water, you'll be ready to hear the silence, not as a threat, but as an invitation to listen more closely to the whispers of the deep. Imagine finding a shipwreck, but it's not just a ruin, it's a hidden treasure chest waiting to be uncovered. The ocean is vast, mysterious, and for centuries, it's been a place of intrigue, home to treasures that have been lost to time. Some ships sank hundreds of years ago, carrying gold, jewels, and priceless artifacts. But in today's world, we have a chance to uncover these lost treasures, thanks to modern technology and deep-sea exploration. However, the question remains, how many treasures are still waiting to be discovered? Throughout history, the ocean has claimed countless ships, many of them laden with valuable cargo. Some were caught in storms, others sunk by pirates, and some simply met their demise due to the unpredictable nature of maritime travel. And among these wrecks lie treasures, chests of gold coins, intricate jewelry, and artifacts that tell the stories of ancient civilizations. The legends of lost treasure from sunken ships continue to captivate explorers and adventurers to this day. One of the most famous treasure hunts in history occurred when treasure hunters discovered the wreck of the Spanish galleon Fatacha in the waters off Florida in the 1980s. This ship had sunk in a hurricane in 1622, and for centuries, its treasure lay hidden on the ocean floor. When it was finally located, divers uncovered nearly $400 million worth of gold, silver, and precious gems. It was a discovery that seemed to confirm the long-held belief that the sea hides riches that we can only dream of finding. But here's the catch. The Fatacha was just one example. For every ship that has been recovered, there are countless others still waiting to be uncovered. Many of these wrecks are scattered across the vast, unexplored depths of the ocean, often in areas that are hard to access or too dangerous to reach. And even if you manage to find a wreck, the treasure might not always be as glamorous as you expect. In fact, some shipwrecks have revealed nothing more than rusted old cannons and scattered cargo, hardly the glimmering treasures people expect. The reality of treasure hunting at sea is far more complex than just finding chests full of gold. Many wrecks have been plundered over the years, with valuable items either taken by pirates or removed by early explorers. Still, even with these challenges, the allure of lost treasure continues to drive adventurers to search the deep blue for riches. But what if the treasure itself isn't the only thing that's valuable? Sometimes, the story behind a shipwreck is worth more than the gold it carried. For example, the wreck of the Wanderanchis, the ship of explorer Ernest Shackleton, was recently discovered in the Weddell Sea, nearly a century after it sank. The ship itself was a treasure trove of historical significance, revealing details about Shackleton's ill-fated expedition to Antarctica. And while there may have been no gold on board, the wreck itself provided an invaluable piece of history. Even more fascinating is the role that these shipwrecks play in our understanding of the ocean and the world's history. Modern technology, like sonar mapping and underwater drones, has allowed us to explore parts of the ocean that were once considered unreachable. We now have the tools to locate shipwrecks that have been hidden for centuries. In fact, the use of remote-operated vehicles, ROVs, has revolutionized the way we explore the sea, allowing us to search for wrecks in the most dangerous and difficult-to-reach parts of the ocean. A rare, little-known fact, the deep-sea exploration that we do today often uncovers much more than just wrecks. In some cases, researchers have discovered entire forgotten civilizations beneath the waves. Cities once thought to be lost to time, such as the legendary city of Atlantis, are still part of the mystery and allure of the deep. In fact, underwater ruins have been found off the coasts of countries like Egypt and India, hinting that some of humanity's greatest achievements may lie beneath the surface of the sea, waiting to be uncovered. But even with modern technology, there are still challenges to uncovering treasures at sea. The ocean is an unpredictable environment, and wrecks can easily be destroyed by shifting currents, storms, or even modern shipping activities. In some cases, treasure hunters must deal with legal battles over ownership rights and the ethics of disturbing historical sites. The balance between treasure hunting and preserving history is delicate, and sometimes the excitement of finding a shipwreck is overshadowed by the complexities of how to handle it once it's been discovered. What if the treasure is not physical at all? Some maritime mysteries have led to the discovery of priceless knowledge, such as the wreck of the Uvasa in Sweden. This ship, which sank on its maiden voyage in 1628, was recovered in the 1960s, revealing not only a vast amount of history but also providing insight into shipbuilding techniques of the past. These discoveries have helped historians piece together the puzzle of how people lived, traveled, and fought in centuries past. So, sometimes the true treasure is the knowledge we gain, not the jewels or gold that might come with it. Perhaps the most astonishing thing about maritime treasures is that we have only scratched the surface. With the development of new technologies, such as autonomous underwater drones, we are now able to reach depths that were once thought unreachable. unreachable. These advancements in technology have opened up new frontiers for treasure hunters and historians alike, allowing us to explore the deepest parts of the ocean and uncover shipwrecks and artifacts that have been hidden for centuries. The future of maritime exploration holds even greater possibilities. The sea is vast, and its depths are full of secrets, both natural and man-made. And while treasure hunting is often romanticized, the real value of exploring shipwrecks and sunken cities lies in the discoveries we make, not just of treasure, but of our shared history and the mysteries that have yet to be solved. The more we learn about the ocean's hidden depths, the more we realize how much we still have to uncover. So the next time you hear a story about a lost treasure or a shipwreck discovered deep beneath the waves, remember that there's more to the story than just gold and jewels. The ocean holds a wealth of knowledge waiting to be discovered, and perhaps, just perhaps, the next big discovery could be yours. What if the weather at sea could change so fast that it feels like nature itself is playing tricks on you? Imagine sailing on a calm sea, with the sun shining and no clouds in the sky, only for the atmosphere to suddenly shift. Within moments, violent winds kick up, and you're surrounded by a towering storm. It feels as though the sea itself has turned on you. This unpredictability is a core feature of maritime weather, and it's something sailors have feared for centuries. Maritime weather is infamous for its sudden changes, often creating violent storms seemingly out of nowhere. These storms can be so intense that they can sink ships, capsize small vessels, or throw sailors into dangerous waters. For centuries, sailors viewed these storms as the wrath of angry gods, believing they were being punished for unknown offenses, or that the gods were upset by their presence at sea. But what if these storms weren't just caused by supernatural forces? Modern science has uncovered the real causes of these storms, which are often much more complex but still natural. The rapid shifts in maritime weather are largely due to temperature fluctuations in the atmosphere, changes in ocean currents, and sudden shifts in pressure systems. These natural forces combine to create violent and unpredictable weather conditions that sailors must navigate. Here's an interesting and little-known fact. Some of the most terrifying storms at sea, known as white squalls, occur without any warning, leaving sailors no time to prepare. White squalls are sudden, intense storms that form rapidly and are usually associated with clear skies just moments before they strike. These squalls can have winds that reach over 70 miles per hour and can appear in the blink of an eye. They can even occur in calm seas where no storm clouds seem to exist. Sailors caught off guard by white squalls are often overwhelmed, as there's little they can do to avoid being swept up by the storm. The unpredictability of sea weather has always made the ocean seem like a dangerous place, but it's also one of the reasons maritime culture is so rich with stories of angry sea gods and myths of divine wrath. Ancient cultures, from the Greeks to the Polynesians, created elaborate stories to explain these phenomena. The idea that storms were sent by the gods helped sailors cope with their fear of the unknown. These mythologies provided sailors with a sense of control over the uncontrollable, turning unpredictable weather into something that could be understood and respected. But could these stories be the result of sailors' real experiences with the sea? The answer is a bit more complicated. While it's true that many ancient sailors had limited knowledge of meteorology, they were extremely in tune with the natural world. They observed how shifts in wind, temperature, and the ocean's currents influenced the weather. In fact, many sailors from the past had a keen understanding of storm patterns and the behavior of the seas, even if they couldn't explain the science behind it. This made them more aware of the dangers that lurked in the sea and more likely to attribute mysterious storms to the wrath of gods or supernatural forces. It's also worth noting that storms at sea are often exacerbated by the ocean itself. The sea's surface temperature plays a crucial role in weather patterns. Warm ocean water can cause air to rise, which creates low-pressure systems that lead to the formation of storms. These storms can travel across entire ocean basins, picking up speed and intensity as they move. The fact that sailors could face such powerful forces of nature made the sea feel like a place of constant danger, where even the slightest miscalculation could result in disaster. One rare fact that most people don't know is that there are parts of the ocean that seem to generate weather systems all on their own, without any external influences. One of the most famous examples of this phenomenon is the vortex of the Azores, an area of the Atlantic Ocean known for creating unpredictable weather patterns. This vortex is a region where the ocean currents interact with the atmosphere in ways that lead to sudden and violent storms, even when the surrounding weather is calm. Sailors venturing into this area could find themselves in the middle of a massive storm without any warning, and the cause of the storm could remain a mystery for centuries. And while these natural causes behind maritime weather are fascinating, they also bring us back to a bigger question. Why do so many cultures have stories about angry sea gods and supernatural storms? The reality is that these myths provided sailors with an explanation for the otherwise inexplicable. When you're stuck in the middle of the ocean with a storm brewing, it's easy to feel powerless. These myths gave sailors a way to interpret the events they witnessed, and they helped them maintain a sense of control over the chaotic world of the sea. So what does all this mean for the modern sailor? For today's mariners, understanding the science behind maritime weather has made the seas much safer to navigate. And with the advent of satellite technology, weather forecasting, and improved navigation tools, sailors can now predict storms and understand understand the forces at work in the ocean. Modern ships are built to withstand even the most intense storms, and sailors are trained to handle the unpredictable weather that can strike at any moment. But even with all these advancements, there's still an element of mystery that remains. The ocean is vast, and despite all of our technological advancements, there's still much we don't understand about the forces at play beneath the waves. Sailors still encounter unexpected storms, and new mysteries continue to arise. As technology continues to advance, we may one day unlock even more secrets of the sea. In conclusion, the unpredictable weather at sea has always been a source of fear and fascination for sailors. While ancient myths about angry gods may seem outdated, they were born out of real experiences with the sea's volatile weather. Today, we understand the science behind these storms, but the mystery and awe of the ocean remain as powerful as ever. So, next time you set sail, remember that the sea is not just a place of danger. It's a place full of wonders, both understood and yet to be discovered. What does the future hold for maritime phenomena? Could technology finally uncover all of the ocean's secrets? The deep sea has always been a source of intrigue and mystery. For centuries, sailors have ventured into its vast, unexplored depths, encountering strange creatures, inexplicable events, and weather patterns that defy understanding. But as technology advances, we are starting to unlock some of the ocean's most baffling secrets. The ocean is the planet's largest and least explored frontier. More than 70% of the Earth's surface is covered by water, and yet the vast majority of this ocean remains unexplored. For centuries, seafarers have had to rely on their instincts, folklore, and old maps to navigate the treacherous waters. The most mysterious of all is the deep sea, a place where light never penetrates and strange creatures live in isolation. It's a place that has spurred some of the most bizarre maritime phenomena, from ghost ships to disappearing islands, and yet much of what happens down there is still unknown. Modern oceanography is changing how we understand the sea. With the advent of advanced technologies like deep-sea exploration vehicles, autonomous underwater drones, and sonar, these technologies have allowed scientists to explore the deep ocean in ways that were once unimaginable. Just recently, for example, a team of researchers using deep-sea submersibles discovered an entire ecosystem of creatures living on the ocean floor, far deeper than any human has ever gone. This discovery could change everything we know about marine life. But even as technology advances, we still face many challenges in understanding the full scope of the ocean's mysteries. The deep sea is vast, cold, and incredibly hostile to human life, making exploration a slow and expensive process. Many areas remain unreachable due to the immense pressure at those depths, making it nearly impossible to gather data. But as technology continues to improve, scientists are finding new ways to explore these inaccessible regions. Autonomous underwater drones, for example, are revolutionizing the way we study the deep sea. These machines are capable of diving to extreme depths, capturing high-resolution images, and gathering valuable data on marine life. There is still so much we don't know about the ocean. The sea has always been a place of wonder, but now, with the help of technology, we are beginning to understand how it functions. We're learning about its currents, temperature fluctuations, and even the creatures that live in its depths. The more we explore, the more we uncover about the forces that shape the sea and the bizarre phenomena that occur within it. Take, for example, the phenomenon of underwater volcanoes. These volcanoes are found deep beneath the ocean's surface, where they are invisible to the naked eye. Yet, these volcanoes have a profound impact on the surrounding ecosystem. They release heat and chemicals into the water, creating unique environments where strange creatures can thrive. In some cases, these environments can even support life forms that were previously thought to be impossible. This is just one example of how the deep sea is constantly revealing new secrets that challenge our understanding of life on Earth. But despite all our advancements, many mysteries remain. Could technology finally bring an end to the most bizarre maritime mysteries? Perhaps. But the deeper we dive, the more we realize that the ocean holds its secrets close. The more we learn, the more we realize how much more there is to discover. It's as though the ocean is constantly teasing us with its mysteries, daring us to solve them. As we continue to explore the depths, there are still many maritime phenomena that we are nowhere near solving. The Bermuda Triangle, for example, continues to captivate the public imagination despite advances in science. Many of the disappearances in this area can be explained by natural phenomena. The sheer number of incidents has kept the mystery alive. Could there be something more to the Bermuda Triangle than we know? Or is it simply a place where human error and natural forces combine in a way that makes it appear more mysterious than it really is? Similarly, ghost ships, once thought to be supernatural, now have scientific explanations that account for their eerie presence. The Mary Celeste, for example, was abandoned for reasons that can be traced back to human error, environmental factors, and simple miscommunication. However, even with this knowledge, we're still left with unanswered questions. What happened to the crew? Was there something else that drove them to abandon ship? Perhaps some maritime mysteries will remain unsolved despite our best efforts. But despite the unknowns, one thing is certain: our ability to explore the ocean has never been greater. Advances in technology will continue to uncover more of its secrets, and the mysteries that once seemed supernatural may eventually be explained. As we dive deeper into the ocean's mysteries, we will continue to learn more about the forces at work work beneath the surface, and the bizarre phenomena that have long intrigued sailors. In conclusion, the future of maritime mysteries lies in the hands of modern technology. The tools we have today allow us to explore the ocean in ways that were once unthinkable. However, despite these advancements, the ocean will continue to challenge us with its deep secrets. The next time you set sail, remember that the ocean is not just a place of danger and mystery, but a place full of wonders waiting to be discovered. If you enjoyed this epic journey, please subscribe to our channel for more thrilling historical tales. Don't miss out on new videos. Hit the notification bell to stay updated.